What I want to show you today is how to set up your PS4 controller to be able to move around and look around more efficiently, similar to how people are able to move around and look around on the PC. The difference is that on a PC you're going to be able to use a mouse, so that makes things a little bit more difficult since we have joysticks, and also jumping is defaultly bound to X. So go into the training and go into the practice range and we'll get some of these things set up. It's not going to be too difficult and it won't really mess up anything else, especially since we can specify which hero we want to change the buttons to. And I'll show you that real quick, but first let's go ahead and pick Lucio, and then what we'll do is go over some of the details of the character, just so you're familiar with not only what he does but also where exactly we're going to be binding the control to. Once you pick Lucio, you'll be in this hero selection lobby. So what we want to do first is press left on the D-pad. This brings up all the skills that Lucio can do. As you can see here that I already have each of the buttons set up how I want them and how you're going to be setting them up today. It's important to pay attention to two things here, L2 and X. L2 is bound to jump, which also allows wall ride to be possible. And X is bound to crossfade, which switches between healing and speed boosting. Part 1. How to set up your PS4 controller. So what you're going to do is you want to go to options. So let's go ahead and zoom in a little bit. At the top there's going to be a tab that says all heroes. What we're going to do is go down and specifically just change Lucio's settings. So I like to have my horizontal and vertical sensitivity pretty high, so whatever fits your playstyle, you're going to want to play with this option and change it as well. You're going to want to be able to look a little bit fast horizontally, so you might want to try starting with a high horizontal sensitivity. The second thing I like to change is the reticle. I like to use the circle with this green. Again, this is really optional on how you really like to see your damage focus point. For me, it just helps having a circle. Finally, we're going to go to movement, and this is where we're going to start to unbind a few of the buttons. The first one we're going to unbind is jump. So you can either press X and press the button you want to replace the current button with, or you can use square to unbind that button. So what I'm doing here is I'm putting L2 as my jump. So this is going to be controlled by my left hand instead of my right thumb. What I'm also doing is I'm changing ability 1 to X, and then finally putting my secondary fire as L1. So I'll leave this here for a bit so you can look at it. Be positive you'd like, but make sure that we at least have L2 switched to jump and X to crossfade or ability 1. An important part to part 1 is not just changing your controllers but also getting used to a new hand position. So use this guide on how to hold your controller. That's probably the most important part to this whole thing, is getting used to how your hand is going to be on the controller. This may come more natural to some, so use the practice range to test out the jumping, and then if you feel confident, test it out in quick play. If you feel you need more practice, then stay here and watch the rest of the steps. There's a lot you can get done right here in the hero selection screen, so let's go ahead and go upstairs. What we're going to start on is part 2, actually riding a wall. So let's start with something easy first. We're going to stay into this first room with a window, and then move on to other more advanced jumping and wall riding. So if you hold down L2, say on just one wall, what it'll do is it's going to clamp you to that wall. All you gotta do is hold down to L2. If you want to stop a wall ride, all you gotta do is just release L2. So try it a couple times and see if you can stay on for the entire duration of the wall. Part 3, riding a wall longer. So in this case what we're going to do is hold down L2 for the entire duration of multiple walls. What I do is I like to look at the walls first and try to make sure that I can stay clamped to the wall continuously. This works for both speed boost and heal boost. You're going to move a little bit slower when you're on healing, but That's alright, you'll still stay on. Port 4, put your back into it. Now let's practice doing the same long wall ride, but in this case you're going to be clamping your back to the wall, so you're going to be looking away from the wall. Try practicing this by just jumping, looking towards the center, say at the stairwell. It's okay if it looks like you're going to slip, just keep holding down L2, your character will do most of the work. So let's keep on going. Practice putting your back first, clamping to the wall, holding down L2. Try adding some shots now. So this is very similar to how Lucio's played on PC, meaning that you can look around and shoot while you're wall riding. It's a big difference from just having X as your jump. As I showed you previously, not only can you do this with speed, but you can also do this while healing. So if you're healing your group, you can do all these maneuvers. Part 5 is called Mind the Gaps and Protuberances. Basically just a fancy way for shit that's sticking out of the wall. Columns, things that you need to jump over when you're riding a wall. I like to go to the back side of the hero selection lobby. So what I like to do is do a normal wall ride, but in the case of going over a railing, all you gotta do is just hold down to L2 and the character will do most of the work. If you're jumping over a gap, what you gotta do is aim at the wall and just hold down L2. The character will clamp automatically. Keep trying a couple times and see if you can get it every single time you try. So this is a protuberance, one of these columns, and what we want to do is we want to jump over it. So it's similar to just jumping over a gap. Aim for the wall and clamp on with L2. The second protuberance here, jump over and clamp down again. Remember, just use one jump, and that same jump holding down to L2 so you can jump over these things sticking out of the wall. This may seem pretty simple, but it's actually really good practice for buildings and maps, since things sticking out of the wall are really similar to jumping over columns, jumping on two columns, or parts of buildings that we see in a lot of the maps available now. You can take this one step further outside and try going around this building. What you're going to have to do is practice not only aiming the wall, but keeping down L2. You can do this any direction, both with heals and with speed boost.
I am loving this.
If you want to take it one step further, try changing directions on the wall. So this is a little bit hard to do, you're just going to have to aim yourself to the wall. So that's the end of the first tutorial. Thanks for watching, and I hope you learned something. Please do let me know if you found this helpful by liking and leaving a comment. Feel free to share this with anybody you'd like. So this is not exactly how people can utilize wall ride in PC. There's always going to be a big difference here, since we do use a controller on PS4. But playing both, I see that it's pretty similar in what the actions that you can do, and how efficient you can be as a player by being a distraction and evading enemies, but by also providing heals and speed to your team. So I'll see you around, and thanks again for watching.